Now we just actually need to get it to fling the player. The way that we'll get it to fling the player is it'll send a message to the player to tell it, to give it a velocity. So we want to know if flinging forwards is true, and if and we want to know if the player is touching the thing, if the player is standing on top of it. Doesn't really matter if the player is not standing on it, then we won't fling it away. Only if the player is touching it. So in here, all of this doesn't matter for the sending the message to the player. We want another if. We can say up the top here, we can say if I'm flinging forwards and if the player is touching me on the top side, if the player is touching my top. So if I am touching on top side, that's from physics under collisions. If touching on top side, we'll send a message to the player with a value. So events messaging, send message to instance object with something. So we use this, and we'll actually send an X and a Y, so we can fling them across and up a bit. What was the message that we had the player receiving? Let's go just double check that real quick. I think it was down the bottom here. X velocity and Y velocity with a boost number. Cool. So send message X velocity and send message Y velocity to instance object. Now who's this object going to be? Well, let's we'll create a new variable. We'll call this player. So we need to make sure we define who player is, because we haven't done that anywhere here. We will define player when the player touches us, because we'll know that's definitely the player. So from variables we can say set player when we're touched by the player. If I'm not active, become active and set player to the toucher. That works nicely. Then when we're flinging forwards, we're going to send these messages to the player with some numbers. Now how strong do we want to fling the player? You could just hard code some numbers. You could say the player's going to get flung with 500 X velocity and maybe 2000 Y velocity. 2000 will go down. Actually, that's probably not so good. Let's do negative 1000 Y and 2000 X. You could try that. I'm going to make it dynamic, but I'll just try that for now. So notice how the player's kind of flickering there. They're changing from falling to standing because this slingshot object is rotating a little bit too fast for the player to be able to fall down onto it and keep up with it.